Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today we have Eric from Amazon Lit with us. 62 million, a little over 62 million in wholesale in 2022 on Amazon. So we're excited to talk all about that stuff, some of the events, everything we got going on with that. So thanks for joining us, Eric. We're really excited. We're lucky to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, Garrett and Miles. Excited to be here and look forward to having an amazing conversation and providing a lot of value to your audience.
Cool. And so we did do that first initial episode back in April. So that's going to be linked and that'll have more information on your background and everything like that. So definitely check out that one as well after. But you just want to give us the couple minute just kind of synopsis of the whole story of how Amazon Lit became a thing, growing a massive Amazon business. Then we'll dive into more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business partner, Sebastian, who I'm sure a lot of you know, he started selling products, retail arbitrage out of his basement in 2013. When I first saw that he was doing this, I laughed in his face. At the time, there wasn't YouTube channels like this. Nobody was talking about it, you know. Long story short, fast forward 18 months, I end up partnering up with him. And at the time we built from RA, we built like maybe $1.5 million, $2 million a year business just from going to like Costco, Sam's Club. What's the other big store? Targets, like all those stores were just doing RA, you know. We realized there had to be a better solution for finding profitable inventory in larger volumes. And that's when we really made the shift to wholesale. And we've been doing wholesale now for, I want to say, 7 years. We also run a little bit of private label on our account, but majority, about 93% of our business is all wholesale. And the name of the game for us is massive volume, you know. So it's been a hustle, it's been a grind, and we continue to innovate. And through that, we build social media, and now we teach people and kind of guide other sellers on what to do and how to do it correctly and how to scale efficiently.
So I think a good place to start the conversation is just to kind of get your perspective on how 2022 went for you guys. Any big wins, any big losses, things you could have done better, things you did really, really good. And we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so 2022 was an amazing year for us. Best year in the past 10 years on Amazon. We did about a little between $63 million in sales revenue, which is a 22% increase over 2021. Now, as far as profits, we crushed about $9.5 million in gross profits, which is phenomenal. And, you know, that's about an 11% increase over 2021. So what that instantly said to me was, okay, our business did a 22% increase, but our profits only did an 11% increase. Like, what can we be doing moving into the new year to focus more on profitability for our company? You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about the 11% increase in profits. But what that tells me as a business owner is there's more that we can be doing to remain more profitable going into the new year. And one of the biggest problems for us in 2022 was space allocation. You know, we're maxing out our current warehouse. And fortunately for us, or unfortunately, depending how you look at it, our lease is up at the end of March. So we're forced to get a new space.
Yeah, I was listening to you on another podcast and you were talking about how you think you guys are probably going to purchase one coming at that. And I thought that was a pretty cool kind of evolution there.
And what number warehouse is this? Is this 4 for you guys?
Oh, it's gotta be up there. Yeah, I was looking at your post the other day.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be 6. This will be number 6 for us.
And then, so is it in that the current space wouldn't be sufficient 6 months from now, a year from now, or is it purely like it was good enough, it just wasn't going to last a while, basically?
No, it's not sufficient now. It's not sufficient now. We're running out of space. You know, the goal is we need a couple more production stations. We need a couple more bay doors so we could have multiple trucks getting dropped off. Right now, we only have 2. And also, we'd like to open up the wholesale side of Amazon Lit, which is Avid Wholesale Group. We'd like to open that. So having an extra 10 or 15,000 square feet to really scale that out would be huge as well.
And is it
what do you attribute the delta between your growth in sales as compared to the growth in profit to? Is it product selection? Where did that leakage come from, you think?
Yeah, it was a direct result of Amazon's new fee structure that they implemented. You know, they have the peak fulfillment fee. They added that fuel surcharge. Cost of goods went up. So it was really from a product sourcing standpoint. You know, obviously I can always improve, but that didn't have a big impact on that decrease, or not decrease, but less profit increase than revenue increase. I think it was a direct correlation to just the economy at the time.
And have you guys taken any kind of proactive measures to counteract that heading into heading into 23?
Yeah. So 2023, one of our focuses is closing more brand direct relationships, right? Because when you have an exclusivity with a company, you don't have to worry about the competition as much. You know, maybe you're competing with 2 to 5 other sellers, but competing with 2 to 5 other sellers is much better than competing with, 15 to 25 other sellers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I believe you had recommended distributors for new wholesale sellers, 8 months ago or so when we did the last episode. Is that still?
Yeah, definitely 100%. It's easier. Well, I would say wholesalers. So a distributor, national distributors, like a company who partners with manufacturers and they distribute their products, nationally to other retail stores, e-commerce sellers, and other wholesalers. But a wholesaler essentially is just a run-of-the-mill company that has access to other products, whether they're getting them through diverters or through distributors or manufacturer direct. So it's easiest for newer sellers to build relationships with wholesalers. And that's what, like a great show to get wholesalers, ASD, phenomenal show.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we know you got some important stuff there every year, but let's kind of lay the groundwork in terms of what that looks like for any of our listeners in the Vegas area or that are already going and planning on going, how they can best utilize that.
Yeah, 100%. So ASD, just from our company, on average, we do about $3 to $4 million a year with companies I've met at ASD, and that's 2022 sales data. So there's definitely profitable wholesalers at that show. And if you're going, I'm excited to see you there. And also I encourage you to pop in asdonline.com and start researching the brand or the wholesalers that you're going to see out at the show. Send them an email. Let them know you're looking for a catalog. Tell them you're going to be out there and that you're going to come up to them and introduce yourself so they can then put a face to the name. So a lot of events and trade shows, a lot of the magic that happens is before and after. When you're there, you're just there, but it's all about the follow-up and the follow-through.
Yeah.
So is there still, at your scale, is there still preparation that goes into on the behalf of your team in terms of doing that pre-work and brand research and wholesale research?
Yeah. So for me, it's more of connecting with the companies that I already have business or accounts with, so I'm sending them all an email. I'll probably send it this week. I just talked to one of them a couple days ago and I'm just letting them know, hey, you guys going to ASD? Awesome. I'll see you there. I'll stop by. Maybe we could grab lunch, so something as simple as that.
Yeah, and it's all the like non-scalable things that other people just won't do, in terms of like even going to the show in the first place and then all the, interpersonal stuff. On the wholesale side of things, I'm sure that makes a difference, especially over the long term. And it's something people should really, do and everything.
100%. You got to think about it like this, like let's say, Miles, me and you open an account with the same wholesaler, right? But you've had the privilege of meeting them in person, taking them out to dinner, wine and dining them, meeting their family, or maybe they bring their wife with them. So like you have that personal relationship. Me, if I never been to the trade show, like I'm not going to have that connection. So like the chance of you getting better deals than me is instantly elevated.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a prospective wholesaler going to ASD, looking to open up those first couple accounts, what is your advice to me walking up to that first conversation? What am I saying? What am I looking to accomplish? Am I getting a business card? Am I looking to set up an account there? How's that strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, you obviously want to pop into the website and plan out your day, what wholesalers you definitely want to talk to. And then what I like to do is walk up to these companies because it's very easy to get caught up here. You're thinking about what you're going to say. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? But I think the best way to navigate these shows is literally just walk up to the table and start looking at a product and make sure that one of the account reps sees you. And I guarantee you, they're going to walk up to you and start the conversation. They're going to say, hey, what's going on? Welcome to our booth. I'm so-and-so, and then you introduce yourself. And then I like to ask them about their products because they're passionate about their products. So I'll just pick this up. Hey, this is a great calculator. I sell a couple hundred of these a month. What's the price point you got these at? Do you have any MOQs? Who pays for shipping? And then you kind of open up the conversation. But the goal is to let them do all the talking. If anybody's familiar with sales, it's like the more you talk, the less you're going to sell. So like, let them talk, do all the talking. You're listening, acquiring information.
Yeah.
And are you looking to make purchase orders on site, right, at the show, or are you looking to take that data back and do your due diligence and maybe follow up the next week?
Yeah, it's an assortment. So we do make purchase orders at trade shows. You just want to be mindful that if you're going to place an order at a trade show, because usually they'll have 20% discounts, 30% discounts, you need to ask them how much inventory they have, right? Because a lot of times they'll be offering discounts because they have 30,000 units in stock. So like, yeah, a 30% discount is great, but when 30,000 units are about to flood the market, let's say only 30% of them go to Amazon, that's 10,000 units that are going into Amazon. And now all of a sudden that listing price is going to tank. So we do capitalize on show deals, but you got to ask how much inventory they have before committing.
And so there's gonna be a lot of closeout brands there and closeout booths and stuff like that. Would you recommend talking to them too, or just kind of skipping over?
No, 100% you want to connect with closeout brands. So one thing to keep in mind when dealing with companies that have closeout or liquidation in their name is invoices won't work for approvals. So like if you get an account health issue, an IP complaint, you need an invoice to get ungated, wherever the case may be, you cannot use that liquidation or closeout invoice. But it's a risk versus reward scenario, because sometimes on these closeout deals, you're operating at 60, 70, 80% margins because you get a discontinued product or a Rite Aid or CVS shelf pull. So it's like, it really depends where you're at in your selling career. If you're brand new, I suggest staying away from liquidation and closeouts. But if you're already doing tens of thousands of dollars a month, one account health violation isn't going to kill your account. So sometimes it's worth the risk versus the reward,
And
Yeah.
so, if I'm not mistaken, you hold a pretty big event at ASD, right? What sort of seller would or should be interested in looking into coming to your guys' event and kind of popping out?
Yeah, so pretty much anybody who sells on Amazon, whether you're getting started or is super established, it's worth popping into the event. It's a 5 or 6 hours of event. It's after ASD in the evening, so you can still attend the trade show during the day and it won't affect your schedule. And we got some phenomenal speakers out there. We got CJ, who's an Amazon seller's lawyer. I got Jason, who teaches you how to invest your money that you make on Amazon so you're not just squandering it. We got Vanessa, who a lot of you know, she's an account health specialist. Ian, we're flying in from Tel Aviv, who's a repricing specialist. So there's a lot of knowledge and networking that happens there. So it's like an amazing experience and it's definitely worth attending, 100%.
Yeah, there's a clip I've seen. It's of Sebastian. I think it's a couple of years back, but he was saying, and it was at one of these events, I think he was saying that like something along the lines of like networking so important, but you don't see the direct ROI to it. It's like something along the lines of like an indirect ROI. And it's like so true. And we tell our listeners all the time and everything. And you at a way larger scale, I'm sure you probably agree with that and everything too.
100%. Sebastian's in Las Vegas right now at a trade show, because it's like you're not going to, and we're all going to be at a trade show in Miami. I mean, not a trade show. We're going to be at a seller event in Miami in a couple weeks with Romer and the gang, right? And it's like, yeah, you're not going to leave that event with a pocket full of money, but you're going to leave that event with a pocket full of knowledge that's going to in turn make you a pocket full of money if you implement it. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the network and relationship thing all the time. Like Miles and I started in this business like 4 or 5 years ago, and we had like a group of friends that we would just jam out with on Zoom, do some sourcing together, do some buying, and like cumulatively, like our output was so much greater, right, than if each of us kind of taken our own path and did the sourcing by ourselves, did the buying by ourselves, right? It was that synergy that we established years ago. That same sort of thing could happen at trade shows and conferences and those sorts of things.
100%. And you guys get it because you have your own community, right? So I'm sure even though you are like let's say the leaders of your community, right? You're here and then people are learning. I'm sure you've learned a ton from other people in your community. And the same thing goes for me, So it's like, it's an exchange of value amongst people, which is amazing.
Yeah. And that's what's so nice about social media is that like, back like 10 years ago, you didn't really have a choice who your friends were. There was like heavily geographically based and everything. Right now, like, basically everyone besides mom, dad, grandma, sibling I talk to like makes money online. A lot of them do Amazon, and it just like really brainwashes you in a way that if you, I guess we're talking to mainly people that weren't making money online, which is what a lot of the listeners are doing right now. It's just a different type of like it messes up your mindset a little bit. I feel like in terms of the flip sides, like it's so important as well with that. Another thing that I like that you talk about, Eric, is a lot of the investing in yourself side of things and all that. So we'd love to hear a little bit about how you've done that, and then some of the major benefits of that, and then kind of the mindset behind it.
Yeah. So investing in myself was something I wasn't very familiar with, just the way my parents brought me up. Like it was like work hard and you get a job, and like so that's something I just learned maybe 3.5 years ago. I started doing. So something I love to do is like real estate, for example. I'm looking to buy some real estate properties, right? So I did what most people do. I spent 30 days on YouTube running through 1,000 different videos and realized I got absolutely nowhere. So what I did was I picked one of these real estate professionals that I really liked, and I said, what course do you offer? What training do you have? What mentorship can I join? And they sent me a link and I paid for it. It was like $5,000. And now I have a direct outline of what I need to do. I'm also in some like super high level masterminds, where it's very high 5-figure, some of them 6-figure investments. And like those have absolutely changed my life. Like, yeah, I can't even I would have paid 10 times what I paid to join them when I look back in retrospect, because you're surrounded by people who are just so much more elevated than you are. 100%.
And in many cases, online education is like ridiculously cheap compared to other alternatives and stuff. Like it's crazy cheap.
I mean, just think about how much college is nowadays, right?
Yeah.
50,000 for a semester. I don't even know how much it is, but like tens of thousands a semester and year, which is outrageous.
It's ridiculous. I'm a college graduate. I don't use my degree. I went to NYU. I spent $250,000 on my degree. And now I sell products on Amazon. But I recently, this was maybe 8 or 9 months ago, I joined a mastermind. The mastermind, all in with travel or anything, was 60, 70 grand. But so the first phone call, the onboarding phone call for the mastermind, I got to spend an hour with the gentleman who ran it. And if I never went to any of the events for the rest of the year, I never had contact with anybody else. That guy never talked to me ever again. I never sent him any emails. I wasn't part of the Facebook group. If that was the only phone call I got for that $50,000+, my value was provided in that 1 hour phone call.
I paid $250,000 for my college degree, and now I sell products on Amazon. That, my friend, is a tweet.
Yeah, we're here. Absolutely. And I think what's cool too is I've noticed this as I've learned more and more is that like as you get better at stuff, you start to take more advantage of the small opportunities. So like it's the same opportunity could yield, especially when it comes to Amazon, like raising the purchase orders and stuff like that, and everything. And then like just curious in terms of like when you're scaling, like really scaling, is it oftentimes just like doing more of what works, or did you really change how you operated at certain inflection points, like mainly from a sourcing perspective?
Yeah. So I think really in order to scale to that next level, a lot of it has to do with your systems, so doubling down on what's working. A lot of people think they need new distributors, new vendors, new suppliers, new manufacturers, but like most likely you're not leveraging the ones you already have accounts with. Because if you could simply double your order size with those vendors, you could double your business just with your current pool of suppliers. So like a lot of massive business growth, when you start getting a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure sales, a lot of it's all about your infrastructure, how efficient you are. And a lot of inefficiencies come when people bring on virtual assistants who are poorly trained, or they don't properly train the person sourcing their inventory, to your point, Miles. So that person is missing out on opportunity and they're leaving money on the table.
And that's what's nice about that's purely on the sourcing side of things, is that like, as you grow, if you just increase your purchase orders and that ends up paying off, you just did way more output with like significantly less work than what you would have normally gotten out of it. And I like the point about the wholesaler side of things, right? We had a couple guys on the past couple weeks doing multiple 7 figures with wholesale, and both of them said, I'm not actually looking too much for new accounts. I'm looking to better utilize them as well. And I thought that was interesting because like, I talked to a lot of people, and specifically people doing wholesale maybe that are below like the 7 figures in sales. It's all, let me get new accounts, let me get new accounts, let me get new accounts. When on the flip side, it might just be, let me manage those better. Right. And there's all types of things, the 80-20 rule, 80% of your products, or 20% of your products give you 80% of your profits, all that and everything. And so
it's such also a skewed growth with wholesale, right? The more you spend with a sales rep and a brand and a wholesale distributor, the more discounts you are susceptible to. And so it just opens up more opportunity in that regard as well.
100%.
Yeah, and we know you probably talk to more Amazon wholesale sellers than anyone on the side things. So what are some common traits you see in people that find success, and on the flip side, people that don't end up finding success over the long term, so we know what people, or what listeners should avoid doing?
Yeah, so it's definitely perseverance and follow through. The people that I find that are crushing wholesale accounts and opening wholesale accounts are following through, because most of the time they're going to tell you no on that first email. When you pick up that 1,000-pound phone, they're going to tell you no. But what's going to allow you to get the yes is your follow through. So something I like to encourage is integrating some sort of CRM into your business, where you actually have workflows set up based on the conversations you had with distributors. So they instantly get a follow-up email in 30 days, and then 60 days, and then 90 days. Because if an opportunity opens up with that company, and they weren't willing to open an account with you today, in 60 days, they might be. But if you're not at the forefront of their mind, someone else is going to jump in there and take it from you. So 90% of the game is consistency and follow through.
What are some of the biggest reasons why you'll receive that no off the bat? Is it just kind of generic no, and then then the conversation begins? Or are there specific objections that they're, as barriers that you need to overcome to get that account?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some barriers, and sometimes it's just no. I have a wholesale company. Currently, we don't take on any new accounts, but I get the privilege of seeing all the emails that come in from Amazon sellers. So I have literally a database of thousands of emails from Amazon sellers reaching out. And something we're actually going to be covering at our event in Vegas is the do's and don'ts of emails when you start contacting people. 80% of the emails I receive are terribly formatted. I don't even look at them. I don't even open them. They're so poor, right? It's just like, hi, I'm looking for a wholesale catalog. Please send it over. Here's my EIN number. It's like anybody could put that together. You're not different than anybody else, So I lost my train of thought. What was your question?
It was like, well, just kind of picture. It was like, do personalize it. Like that's what people can do. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And then other reasons. You said other reasons why wholesalers say no.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I remember. So it's usually 3 main reasons. One, they're already working with an assortment, a handful of third-party sellers, and they're not taking on any new accounts. 2, they're currently selling on Amazon themselves. Or 3, they're doing a 1P direct relationship where they're actually sending the products to Amazon, and Amazon's listing them through Amazon.com and selling them themselves. That's usually more of the brand side. But usually it's because they just have too many relationships with Amazon sellers, and they're not trying to water the industry down by getting too many sellers on their products, because then companies will come back to them and complain, I bought this product from you, there's 25 sellers on the listing. It's a nightmare for them to deal with.
Yeah, and some other really successful guys we've had on talk about like getting on Zoom and showing suppliers the Keepa. This guy's doing this that's wrong. This guy's doing this that's wrong. Here's why you should only sell to me. And like that's just stuff other people won't do. So logically it leads to better stuff down the line.
Yeah.
And all that. And yeah, and on our last episode, you brought up a really good point about the future of third-party selling, which was something along the lines of like, there's always things Amazon isn't going to want to do, the bundles, different stuff like that. And I'm curious, just to kind of reiterate that, because a lot of people when they're starting this are always like, oh no, like, am I still going to be driving around a Target in 10 years? One, you should move up the opportunity vehicle, so that's irrelevant. But how do you see the future of Amazon selling more than just a year or 2 out?
Yeah, I don't see it really going anywhere. At the end of the day, there's millions of different products that are available, and they're going to be trending at different times for different reasons. And there's always going to be opportunities. At the end of the day, large manufacturers, the Reckitt Benckiser's, the Unilevers, the Procter and Gamble's, They've been around since the late 1800s. They don't care who's selling their products on Amazon. Their goal is to do billions of dollars in sales revenue a year. So those opportunities will not go anywhere, and they'll be available to us for literally decades to come in the Amazon wholesale space.
So you're saying it's not too late to start on Amazon in 2023. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's definitely what I'm saying, man. I've been getting asked that question since 2013, and my answer is the same as it was 10 years ago.
And it's often from people that haven't even tried it, or tried any opportunity in general. And like the way I see it, man, is like, if you just do stuff, it's going to work over the long term. If you just keep, shooting a shot, obviously it needs to be the right kind of stuff and everything. But like, oftentimes people are asking the wrong questions. Like, how quick can I make money? Not can I build something sustainable that'll pay off over the long term, that'll build me skills and everything like that. That's actually a good question. What skills do you really think people build as Amazon sellers? Because that stuff translates anywhere, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So definitely interpersonal skills, building relationships is huge. So the ability to talk and communicate with people openly is massive. I've realized that probably 8% of my problems are from a lack of communication. Either I didn't communicate properly with somebody, or somebody didn't properly communicate with me, and that's where the issue stems from. Also, it's a lot of discipline and follow through, and I think something real important is the willingness to put in the sweat equity, to roll up your sleeve and get your hands dirty for the first 6 to 18 months so you can learn the frameworks and then train people to do those things for you. Most people aren't willing to do that. They just want the quick buck. And it's like, if you want the quick buck, I don't know, open a stock trading account and lose your whole bag in your first, options trade, or open up an automation company and possibly get scammed by one of these. Like if that's what you're looking for, that's what you could do, but those aren't viable solutions either.
And I think some of it's just resilience, right? Developing that resilience, because Amazon's going to throw so many wrinkles into your game plan, right? You could have a set game plan for 23, right? I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then in March, Amazon just throws a monkey wrench in it, right? And so you have to pivot, adapt, and keep it moving. And right, so I think that skill Amazon really is teaching us day by day, month by month, and that's something that's going to translate to anything else we do.
100%, guys.
Yeah, I think I got another thing that I think will really help the audience. Outside of like the typical revenue, gross profit, net profit, what are some other metrics you think sellers sleep on tracking, whether it's like turnover rate, cost to prep a unit, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So one is your cost to prep a unit. We call it your PCPA, production cost per ASIN. So like knowing what it costs you between warehouse rent or electricity, bags, shipping, labor, knowing what it costs you per product to get that product in your door and out the other door. Because then that's going to help you determine your minimum buying requirements. Because if it's costing you $2 to get a product in the door and out the door, you can't set your minimum buying requirement at $225, because then you're only making a quarter. So analyzing that number and trying to get it as low as possible is massive. And then something else I think a lot of sellers sleep on is your inventory turns, which is very simple to find on Seller Central in your inventory planning on the top right. It tells you how many turns you have per year. For a wholesale business, and really a retail arbitrage business as well, a healthy turnover is at minimum 10 times a year. That means you're turning your inventory approximately every 40 days. I find a lot of sellers, they'll have 2, 3, 4 turns a year. That means you're selling your average product is in stock for 90 to 120 days. That's crazy. You're missing out on a lot of turnover and cash and reflipping that.
Yeah,
the velocity is really going to be what scales this business, right?
Yeah. 100%.
I learned the inventory planning thing from your IG store. I think it was like in February or something of last year. And I've noticed, based on like I did some bad buys in September, which took it down a little bit and all that. But yeah, so for anyone that's like, it's inventory and then inventory planning on the top right, you'll see your days in inventory and your turns numbers. And you said ideally in the range of like 10 turns. And
yeah. 10 is super healthy. If you need a quicker turnaround on cash because cash is tight, then you'd want to be closer to 12, 13, 14, because that means you're turning inventory every, 20 to 26 days. And the closer to 10, it would mean every 40 days. But if it's like 8 or below, you're holding on to stock too long, or you're buying too much inventory in one shot.
Yeah, and that comes down to obviously keep sales rank, all the kind of stuff we grill all
just
the
refining sourcing, yeah.
like that.
So obviously you have a pretty big team in your, so how many employees do you have nowadays in your warehouse?
In-house, we probably have 46, 47 right now. And then we have, I want to say, maybe 7 to 10 virtual assistants between web developers and product research employees. So yeah, we're at like 60-ish.
So what do you think are some of the skills and qualities and just do's and don'ts that you picked up on while managing that whole team from a virtual perspective and also from an in-house employee perspective that the Amazon seller who's listening to this that just hired their first VA or two can kind of implement into their leadership?
Yeah, spend time with them. You know, a virtual assistant is not a set it and forget it position, especially if they're doing the most important thing in any Amazon business, which is procurement of products, buying inventory. That's the number one thing in your business, because if you don't have good inventory coming in, it doesn't matter how efficient you are or how cheap you can get your shipping, you're not going to be profitable. So I think spending the time training them, and then not after you train them, just forgetting about them, checking in at least once a week, spot checking their orders and reviewing them. And when you see errors, jumping on a Zoom call with them or a Google Meet and explaining to them exactly what the mistake was and why they were buying 240 when really they should have only got 60, or they only got 240 and they should have got 600. Like, so it's showing them in the Keepa chart and the competitive sellers and the AZ Insight and the buy box statistics. So training them to think more like you so they can implement that into their company or into your business rather.
Yeah, one thing that's a gem is the making the videos, the recording yourself on Loom to show or show a student, a friend, and everything that that gets in. I'm curious, do you talk to a lot of like similar level sized Amazon sellers, or is like a lot of the people like you're talking to entrepreneurs that are at a high level in other spaces? Or I'd probably a combination of both.
Yeah, so I actually realized I definitely connect with more people in other industries that operate, you know, very, very large businesses, which is cool because I get to learn about all these different skill sets and assets. But I was having trouble connecting with very large Amazon sellers. And that's one of the reasons why we created our inner circle, was because I needed to create that group of very large Amazon sellers doing high 7 and 8 figures annually, because it didn't exist for wholesale. So I needed to be the one who created it. Now I have it, and I get to meet with these 35, 40 businesses monthly, and we have private chats, and it's like, it's the level up.
And what's interesting is like the higher, like Garrett and I, what we talk about and what helps us is like way smaller and more concise things, but the levers are so much bigger now. And I'm sure that, you know, only scales as you go up. And it's interesting, man, like all these, like some of these really big Amazon stars, like I've had multiple anonymous accounts like hit me, and it's like they hit me with like a 20 mil screenshot and like the way they talked, I could tell it was real and everything. But it's tough to find people, you know, and like it's virtually impossible in person. So that's why we got to have the, you know, the Amazon lit page, the Loud Amazon page, because it attracts, you know, the people you want to meet and everything. Everything like.
And come to find out, a lot of these big, massive Amazon sellers, they're not on socials like Instagram and Facebook. They're using like Twitter and LinkedIn, you know, so they're living in different places.
Yeah, and it just existing and everything. And do you see the personal brand fits in long term with the vision as well in terms of just scaling up the whole enterprise?
What, Amazon Lit?
Yeah.
100%. It's symbiotic with our wholesale business, you know, because I literally take what I learn and what I do in my business on the day-to-day, because I'm still very involved with my Amazon business. Wednesdays is my work from home day, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm at the office unless I'm traveling. So like, I love it, I live for it, and it helps me just be more resourceful to my community and, you know, the public on social, and provide them the most up-to-date and accurate information, because it's what I do every day.
We get every morning, we get the top of the morning, and then we get the truck coming in. You were doing the questions and it was like truck, then it was like more pallets. Love that, man. That's what I was watching you guys feature in Miami last year, and it's just cool to see stuff done at such a high level and everything. And it's important to show people what's, you know, available long term and stuff too, you know, with the right action and intention.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Quite curious though, if you could only work on one, if you had to drop one, either Amazon or the wholesale business, what would it be?
So Amazon Lit or selling products on Amazon?
Yeah.
They have to be together. If
I agree.
I didn't have the Amazon business, then I would be like 80% of these course gurus out there who don't sell on Amazon, but sell you programs on how to sell on Amazon. So they're like their bread and butter. They gotta be together.
And it's such a rare, like it's such a flywheel because like you sell more product on Amazon, you have better stuff to talk about online. Then you attract more Amazon sellers. They help
you can provide more value to other sellers.
Yeah, it's a whole flywheel and everything. And it works on day one when you make your first sale. Like I posted the day I got my first sale back in 2019, and then it builds trust like asymmetrically and stuff like that too. And just before we finish up, right? The playbook for the first wholesale account in the next 30 days, are we calling, like what can someone do out there that just guarantees success to the point where it's so much volume that there's just no way it doesn't work out, basically? And just calling 50 a day, emailing 50 a day. Let's hear some game on that.
Yeah, I would say next 7 days, make it a priority to locate and contact at minimum 100 distributors, wholesalers, or manufacturers at a bare minimum. If you reach out to 100, I guarantee you at the end of the week, you will open at minimum one account, probably more.
But cold calling people isn't scalable. Personalizing the cold emails isn't scalable. But what is doing the things that aren't, and then you can get VAs involved and everything like that. And then last thing, just talking about we didn't get information on how people can check out the ASD event as well that you guys are hosting.
Yeah. So the link in my bio on Instagram, Amazon_lit, you just smash it. It's the first option there. We have a couple hundred tickets, but I believe there's only 22 or 23 left. So
a couple of my guys are going, so hopefully they'll listen. And and so it's Amazon Lit on all platforms for people to follow up with you and check out some of the more of the operations.
Absolutely. And my DMs are always open, so I love talking with everybody and getting to meet people. So I'm excited to connect with a lot of you.
Absolutely.
Just not for the simple hi, how you doing DMs, right?
Yeah. Gotta cut to the chase. This man's nice for hell,
yeah. No highs. And I'm excited to hang out with you guys in a couple weeks down in Miami as well. You guys are a big part of the community, so I respect what you're doing.
Right. Oh, thank you. Seriously. And for everyone interested in that, it's MiamiSellersConference.com for anyone in the South Florida area and all that. But thanks a lot for joining us once again, Eric. And if you want to check out more of Eric's story, check out our last episode we did, which will be linked in the description. And it's somewhere around episode 70, I think, as well. On that. So definitely check that out too. Thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys.